I have the Tennessee Titans going 7-10 in 2023. We're going over my game-by-game predictions on today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast. Let's get it.
You are Locked On Titans, your daily Tennessee Titans podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Titans podcast. I am your host, Tyler Rowland. Titans fans, the Titans 2023 regular season schedule has been released. I'm going to give you my prediction for what their record will be and go game by game to tell you where I see the losses and the wins coming. Before we get into all of that, do want to thank you guys for making the Locked On Titans podcast your first listen every day. Remember, Monday through Friday, Tennessee Titans content all year round on YouTube, every podcast platform, and always for free. Make sure that you get subscribed, stay subscribed to the Locked On Titans podcast, where it's your team every day. Speaking of every day, shout out to my everydayers out there listening Monday through Friday. If you're new, you can be an everydayer too. Just stay locked in with me Monday through Friday here on the Locked On Titans podcast. But with all that being said, we're going to get into my season predictions for the Titans. And I want to say this before I go any further. It's May. It is May. I'm doing this for fun, doing this to get a kind of gauge of how I feel about some of these games. My prediction for the Titans record will most likely change as we get closer to the season. We get through training camp, blah, blah, blah. So all I'm saying is, don't hold me to it, folks. Don't hold me to it. But right now, with the schedule coming out, I see the Tennessee Titans finishing 7-10, just the same as they did last year. And one of the reasons why I'm okay with that, I thought I would have less losses or less wins for the Titans. I thought they'd have an even worse record when I initially looked at the schedule and knew that I was going to go through it game by game. But it makes sense for me because the Titans finished 7-10 last year, and they finished on a 7-game losing streak when a ton of players were injured. But I also think that starting 7-3, the Titans had a really weak schedule at the beginning of the year, and I think that contributed to maybe their record looking a little better than the team actually was. So I think 7-10, even though I thought the Titans got lucky early and unlucky late, I think that might actually be a fair representation of the talent that they have as a team. So no surprise to me that that's where I ended up going game by game with this one. But first, week 1 at the Saints in New Orleans. To me, that's a loss. Now, this one was one I was on the fence about. I didn't have a ton of confidence calling this one a loss. But at the end of the day, I think the Saints have a better overall offense in terms of the talent that they have. They have a good defense and they're at home in week 1. So while I think these teams are very similar, I give a couple of edges to New Orleans in this one. So I have the Titans losing in week 1 to the Saints. Week 2, Justin Herbert comes to Tennessee. And I think this is a loss for the Titans as well. Now, I think that the Titans could win this game. I don't think that this is a slam dunk loss, but it's early in the season. If the Chargers have a healthy offensive line, they have a healthy wide receiver group, they have a pretty good defense. Justin Herbert is a much better quarterback than Ryan Tannehill. So for me, got to make that a loss. Week number 3 at the Cleveland Browns. I had to make that a loss as well. So I have the Titans starting out 0-3. Tough start to the season. The Titans, to me, are similar to the Browns, except the Browns have better wide receivers and a better offensive line. Both these teams want to run the ball, play action off of it, play good defense. That's what they want to do. Now, I don't think the Browns have as good of a defense overall as the Titans, but when they have Myles Garrett, I think that kind of balances things out a little bit. Myles Garrett is a top 3 pass rusher in the NFL. So for me, on offense specifically, the Titans and the Browns are very similar. The Browns are just better. The Browns are just better. And I don't think that the Titans defense is going to be able to carry them to this victory. So I have it as a loss to the Browns in Cleveland in week 3. Now, I got to tell you guys, I have it as 0-3, but the Titans could start out 3-0 here too. When we talk about whether I think the Titans are going to win or lose a game, there's a confidence factor in that as well. So some of these games, I have them as wins, I have them as losses, but my confidence level in that result is not as high as some other games. Like, we're going to go to week 4 against the Cincinnati Bengals in Tennessee. It's a home game for the Titans against the Bengals, but they have Joe Burrow and the Titans don't. So that is a loss. And I feel as confident as possible that the Titans are losing that game to Cincinnati in week 4. Do I feel that confident that the Titans are losing these other games? No, I don't. But I have the Titans starting out 0-4. So a tough stretch there to kick things off. Next game, week 5 at Indianapolis. I'm sorry, but right now, the way I see it, Mike Vrabel owns Indianapolis. So I'm having the Titans win their first game of the year on the road against the Colts. Then week 6, Lamar Jackson, Baltimore Ravens in London. Look, the Ravens are better. Lamar is happy. Last time the Titans played Lamar, they lost. So I got to go with Lamar Jackson in this one. I think this is a loss. The Titans put the L in London and dropped to 1-5 to start the season. They're going to head into the bye week. If the Titans head into the bye week at 1-5, you could say goodbye to Derrick Henry because they'll have to trade him over the bye week and be sellers out of the bye week. But we're going to talk a little bit more about that and the second segment of the schedule. Before we do, want to tell you guys about the best tasting protein bars in the galaxy from our friends over at Built Bar. You get the best of both worlds with Built Bar. You get all the health benefits that you have to have in a protein bar. They're low calorie, low sugar, high protein, high fiber, but you get all the taste benefits that you get from a candy bar. Delicious flavors like churro, peanut butter brownie, white chocolate cheesecake. All the bars are covered in 100% real chocolate. That's right, 100% real chocolate on your protein bar. You don't want to miss on these incredible protein bars. Go to your local Walmart, go to your local Sam's Club, go to built.com, pick up a pack of Built bars yourself. You can thank me later. Titans fans, we are going to get into the second portion of the regular season schedule for the Titans as I go game by game, giving you guys my predictions for who will win and who will lose. At this point in the season so far, through my predictions, I have the Titans at 1-5 through 6 weeks, with the only win coming at Indianapolis against the Colts, with a loss on the road to the Saints, at home to the Chargers, on the road to the Browns, at home to the Bengals, and in London to the Baltimore Ravens. So I have the Titans starting off pretty rough, okay? But like I was saying in the opening segment, there are a few of these games, like at Cleveland, home for the Chargers, at New Orleans to start the season. I'm not very confident in those results. I feel a lot better about the loss I have to Cincinnati and Baltimore and the win against Indianapolis. I feel much more confident in those than I do those first 3 weeks. So those first 3 weeks will really do a lot to determine how the Titans season will start. Obviously, they're the first 3 games, but when you look at games against Cincy, Indy, and Baltimore, with the Indy game being on the road, that's a much tougher stretch than at New Orleans, home versus the Chargers, at Cleveland. So the Titans need to handle their business in the opening weeks. I don't think they will. And as I was saying before, if the Titans head to their bye week in week 7 at 1-5, it is time to sell the farm. It is time to get rid of everybody at that point. Anybody that you could trade for value, do it, except Jeffrey Simmons. That's how I would feel at that time. The Titans need to be sellers. Sell if they get to the bye week at 1-5. But I don't know that they will. So, without being able to project a trade of anybody at that point in time, we're just going to keep predicting the games like the Titans don't make any moves. And after the week 7 bye, they have a game at home against the Atlanta Falcons, and that's got to be a win. That has to be a win, and I think it will be a win. There are not too many games on this schedule where the Titans have a better quarterback than the team that they're going against. One of them is the Atlanta game. Unless Ryan Tannehill is on the Falcons by then, which obviously that's why I'm saying I'm going to do predictions again later when we have an even more clear picture of what the team is going to be. But the Titans against the Falcons, as things stand right now, I'm taking the Titans in that matchup. I'm rolling with the Titans. So getting a W there, the Titans improved to 2-5 in my projections. Then week 9, Thursday night football, first primetime game of the year at the Pittsburgh Steelers. I have that as a loss. Now, this is a game that I think will be huge for the Titans going forward, like how their season finishes. Thursday night football against Pittsburgh is an AFC team. Probably be fighting with Pittsburgh for positioning if the Titans do make any kind of run. That's a big game. But you tell me the last time the Titans beat the Steelers. A while ago. A couple of years ago at minimum. So, and regardless of that, the Titans always struggle against the Steelers. Like, always find a way to struggle against the Steelers. Not only that, but you're playing in a primetime game, on the road, on a short week in Pittsburgh. I'm sorry, there's no way the Titans are winning that game. No way. Week 10 at Tampa Bay, this better be a win. If the Titans lose this game, then the Titans may get the number 1 overall pick. If the Titans are so bad that they lose to Tampa Bay against Baker Mayfield or Kyle Trask, then they're going to deserve that number 1 pick, baby. But I got the Titans winning that game. So at that moment in time, based on my predictions, the Titans would be 3-6. 3-6. Then week 11, they go to Jacksonville. Play Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville. I got the Titans losing that game. I got them losing that game at Jacksonville. Then we come to week 12, and the Titans get a home game against the Carolina Panthers. To me, this is another game. If the Titans are going to be serious about the season and they actually want to make the playoffs and win, they better find a way to beat Carolina at home. All right? They better find a way to do it. And I think they do. I have the Titans ripping off a win right here. So, nice for the Titans. At this point in time, they would get to 4-7 is where the Titans would be at this point in my predictions. And then week 13, home game against Indianapolis. I got the Titans winning that game. Whether they play Gardner Minshew or they play Anthony Richardson, I think the Titans will have the better quarterback right now. Richardson may be far and away better than Tannehill down the road in his career, but I don't think he's going to be better than Tannehill right away. So, to me, doesn't matter who the quarterback is. I got the Titans beating Indianapolis. I got the Titans sweeping Indianapolis, even though I don't think the Titans will be that great of a team this year. Mike Vrabel he knew when he got hired, he had to beat Indy. That was a key. He had to beat Indy. And for the most part, he's taking care of that responsibility. So I'm going to have the Titans sweeping Indianapolis until it doesn't happen. How about that? So at that juncture, if we just stop right here, we're up to week 13 against the Colts. I have the Titans at 5-7 is where they're at through 13 weeks with the bye week, 12 games, 5-7. So they're making a push here. Win against Carolina, win against Indy. That means 3 out of the last 4 weeks that we've gone through, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 3 out of 4 games, the Titans win. So they're making a little bit of a push here as they're getting some easier teams in the middle of the schedule. We are moving right. I do want to point out, though, week 9 through week 11 at Pittsburgh, at Tampa Bay, at Jacksonville. 3 games all on the road. That's a tough stretch for the Titans. So we'll see what they do there. They need to go 1-2 and beat Tampa Bay. But if they go 2-1, like let's say they beat Jacksonville or they beat Pittsburgh, huge to come out 2-1 of that 3-game roadie right there. Good stuff. But we are going to move forward. We've gone through 13 weeks. We're going to talk about the last 5 weeks of the season. I have the Titans finishing 7-10. They're 5-7 right now. So we'll go through the last few games of the year in just a moment. Titans fans, we are going to cap off today's game-by-game record prediction edition of the Locked On Titans podcast. So like I said at the top of the show, right now, as things stand, I have the Titans going 7-10. All right? We've gone through 13 weeks. I had the Titans losing to New Orleans on the road in week 1, losing to the Chargers at home in week 2, losing to the Browns on the road in week 3, losing to the Bengals at home in week 4, starting out 0-4, beating the Indianapolis Colts in Indianapolis in week 5, losing to the Ravens in London in week 6. Week 7 is the bye. Week 8, a win against Atlanta. Week 9, a loss on the road in primetime against Pittsburgh. Week 10, on the road against Tampa Bay with a win. Week 11, on the road against Jacksonville with a loss. Week 12 at home against Carolina with a win. Week 13 at home against Indianapolis with a win. So that's where we've gone through. Now we got to move forward into the last part of the schedule. And again, I'm going to do another record prediction as we get past training camp. That'll be what I actually stand on for the season. But this is just some preliminary fun, okay? So week 14. At the Miami Dolphins on Monday Night Football. I don't know why, because again, the Titans always seem to struggle when they play in Miami. But again, one of my wish list items was that the Titans didn't play the Dolphins early in the year because of the weather. They're playing them in week 14. No big deal. I mean, it's going to be warm weather in Miami, but not as hot as it is at the beginning of the season. And I don't know why I feel this way, but I think the Titans win that game. I think the Titans win. I do. I mean, Mike Vrabel absolutely murdered Tua last time they played. 2021, it's 34-3. It's not going to be that kind of game, but as you guys know, my everydayers who listen to the show every day, all the time, know I just don't believe in Tua. I don't. So I think the Titans win that game. I think they beat Miami on Monday Night Football. And then the Titans come home for a game against Houston. And I think they win that game. I do. I think the Titans are going to be a better team than Houston this year. But Houston doesn't get their number 1 pick. Yes. That's great. That's great for the Titans. So I have a win in Houston. So if you're keeping track here, that means the Titans are 7-7 heading into the last 3 weeks of the season. They would have a chance to make a playoff push, maybe even win the division at 7-7 going into the last 3 weeks of the year. But I don't think it goes very well from there. The Titans play at home against the Seattle Seahawks in week 16. That's one of those games I was on the fence about. I had a win down. I scribbled it out. Ultimately, I think that's a loss for the Titans. So then they move to week 17 on the road at Houston. And although I think the Titans are a better team than Houston, Houston doesn't get their pick next year, so they're not going to lie down. They're going to try to win as many games as possible. They have a rookie quarterback and a lot of young players and a rookie head coach who are going to get better as the season goes on. They lose that first game to the Titans in Tennessee in week 15, but 2 weeks later, they're ready to get their revenge at home. The Titans are probably going to wear the old school Oiler jerseys against them in week 15. I just think Houston is going to get their revenge. I don't think the Titans are good enough to sweep Houston. And I think Houston's going to be better than Indianapolis this year. So that's my logic for sweeping Indy, but not Houston. So, and the Titans play Houston 2 out of 3 weeks. And I think that makes it easier for the other team to win because it's fresh in their mind. So I have the Titans losing to Houston in week 17. And then finally, week 18 against the Jacksonville Jaguars at home for the Titans. So that's good. They get the home game this year rather than being on the road in week 18. But I don't think that they're good enough to beat Jacksonville. I don't. So better quarterback, better O-line, better wide receivers, good defense. I mean, Jacksonville's defense really got it going at the end of the year last year. So, yeah, I don't think the Titans are able to beat Jacksonville this year. I'm really not. And if they are, then that's going to totally change, the ceiling of the season. But again, 7-10 is my final prediction for the Titans. A loss in week 1 to the New Orleans Saints, a loss in week 2 to the Los Angeles Chargers, a loss in week 3 to Cleveland Browns, a loss in week 4 to the Cincinnati Bengals, a win against Indianapolis in week 5, a loss to the Baltimore Ravens in week 6, bye in week 7, a win against the Falcons in week 8, a loss against the Steelers in week 9, a win against the Buccaneers in week 10, a loss against the Jacksonville Jaguars in week 11, a win against the Panthers in week 12, win against the Colts in week 13, win against the Miami Dolphins in week 14, win against Houston in week 15. So a 4-game winning streak there for the Titans to get hot a little bit late in the year when the schedule is not as difficult. A loss to the Seattle Seahawks in week 16, loss to the Houston Texans in week 17, and a loss to the Jacksonville Jaguars in week 18. Let me know down below what you think the Titans' record will be based on what we know right now. Tag me on Twitter. Drop it down below in the comments on YouTube. Either way, let me know what you guys think. That is going to do it for me today, though, folks. As always, I am your host, Tyler Rowland, and this was Locked On Titans.